you can come and stand up here. It's important for us to show our strong support on this initiative. Just space out, but yeah. Coronavirus has hit us on multiple levels, but when it comes to domestic violence, we are facing a rise in domestic violence. And so today, I'm proud to have with us the Mayor Pro Tem is present, Dave Martin, the Vice Mayor Pro Tem, Martha Castek Tatum. Of course, right behind me is Councilmember Abby Kamen. You'll be hearing from her shortly. Councilmember Cisneros, Carla Cisneros, Councilmember Evan Shabazz, Councilmember Plummer, Councilmember Peck, Councilmember Alcorn, Councilmember Pollitt, Councilmember Thomas. Did I leave out anyone? And then this particular topic and press conference has more of our city council members standing on this topic than anyone that we have had, which in many ways symbolizes the importance of this issue. And then, of course, we have Houston Police Chief Acevedo, who is here. COVID-19 impact has been felt by the most vulnerable among us in Houston, and this includes trafficking and domestic violence victims. I also want to acknowledge the Mayor's Special Assistant on Human Trafficking, Mino Patel Davis. Where is Mino? Mino Patel Davis. And you're going to be hearing from my director, from the director of the Houston Area Women's Center, Emily, very shortly. COVID-19 impact has been felt by the most vulnerable amongst us in Houston, and this includes trafficking and domestic violence victims. We know reports of domestic violence have increased as victims are homebound with their abusers. We implemented the Stay Home, Work Safe order to encourage social distancing and to save lives. But we understand that home is not always safe for everyone. The Houston Police Department has reported that domestic violence calls are up 8.72% in March from the prior month. And this jump is similar to the jump we saw in 2019. Today, we know some victims may feel helpless and not have a viable way to get out of a dangerous environment. And I want to thank the media, all of you for being here, for spreading this message far and broad. And for people who are watching this morning, we want them to know that you are not in your situation alone. We are pleased to announce a partnership with the Houston Area Women's Center, Emily Whitehurst. Where's Emily? These masks. Emily Whitehurst and Harris County Domestic Violence Coordinating Council to raise awareness and to provide help to potential victims. First, I want to announce a generous donation from Uber, represented by Jerry Brooks today. Thank you, Jerry. Uber. The ride-sharing company has announced a $50,000 grant to the city and will provide free rides for two populations. This support alleviates a challenge domestic violence and human trafficking survivors face in performing simple tasks like going to the store or seeking help. And I want to acknowledge Jerry Brooks, who represents Uber, for the generous gift. Your generosity expands our previously executed human trafficking COVID-19 response and will help with the new domestic violence response we are announcing today. With all of this in mind, we are announcing an awareness campaign so survivors of domestic violence know that the service providers are open, ready to help, and taking COVID-19 precautions. And as I mentioned, we are partnering with the Houston Area Women's Center and Harris County Domestic Violence Coordinating Council. Starting tomorrow, You will see on the city's social media sites safety tips, a hotline number to call, and some videos from Houston Dash players who are partnering with us on this initiative. We will be leveraging OEM, the Office of Emergency Management Messaging Delivery Systems, to issue texts that are aligned with this messaging. We are partnering with the Houston Food Bank to place domestic violence resource flyers in distributed boxes and bags. HEB is assisting with printing large volumes of flyers for distribution. And finally, the city and additional stakeholders are addressing the need for short-term hotel lodging, since shelters must reduce their populations to allow for social distancing. The message is very clear. The coronavirus, COVID-19, does not give anyone permission to engage in domestic violence. You do not have permission. The Stay Home, Work Safe order does not give you permission to engage in domestic violence. And to those who are at home, who are the victims of domestic violence, we want you to know in very clear terms that you are not standing alone. We are with you, we support you, and we want to do everything we can to make sure you know you do not have to live in that situation. So just know that we're with you, not just in prayers, but in actions alone. With that, let me turn it over now to Councilmember Kamen for her statements.
Thank you so much, Mayor. And before I begin with my remarks, I really want to acknowledge you, Mayor. We have seen time and again, whether it's Harvey or other disasters, our mayor bringing us together to make sure that we are doing what is needed to protect Houstonians. And I have full faith that even in the midst of COVID, under his leadership, we will continue to do that. We're doing this because as we've seen the numbers increase, many people who are victims of domestic abuse and violence are stuck at home, and they're stuck in silence, and they don't know where to turn, even though they are some of our most vulnerable and they desperately need help. I want to thank Meenal Patel-Davis for her outstanding work and partnership on this along with her team. And I also want to take a moment to thank all of our partners who, whatever the issue may be, continue to rise to meet the challenges that we face, including the Houston Area Women's Center, the Domestic Violence Coordinating Council, the Houston Food Bank, Uber, HEB, the Houston Dash, the Houston Endowment, and I also wanted to recognize, she may be in the room, Dr. Janice Beal, who is here on behalf of Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. Both Congresswoman Jackson Lee, who authored the Violence Against Women's Act, is very supportive of this, as is Congresswoman Fletcher. They are on their way to DC to continue to advocate for us there. This is an effort to reach as many people as possible. Office of Emergency Management has stepped in, and they will amplify the message through texts and emails. We're through CitizensNet, Alert Houston, Nextdoor, and other social media. We will be able to reach about 500,000 people, or hopefully more. Houston Police Department, through their Family Violence Unit, is also sharing resources and engaging not only with HPD units, but with neighborhoods to share information. And as the mayor mentioned, we are distributing flyers through the food bank, which HEB has made possible by their contributions. And if we can raise enough money there, we will be able to distribute close to 750,000 flyers, reaching 750,000 homes. We're calling on all Houstonians to help, and we cannot get this word out without you. Please check on your neighbors. Be aware, be vigilant, help others by sharing the information that we're providing. We will be launching a website, in large part thanks to Houston Area Women's Center. That website is nocovidabuse.org. There is also a hotline. That number is 713-528-2121. I'll read it again, 713-528-2121. And as always, if you or someone you know is in immediate danger, please call 911, and if you can't call, you can also text 911 now. Together, we will continue to do all that we can to make sure that every Houstonian remains safe during this crisis. And I know and I trust that we will all get through this together. Thank you.
Now let me call on Emily Whitehurst from the Houston Area Women's Center, in fact, the CEO.
I want to thank Mayor Turner, Councilmember Kamen, Menal Davis, Chief Acevedo, and Dr. Percy, who will come up soon, and all of our domestic violence partners, including Barbie Brashear with the Harris County Domestic Violence Coordinating Council. I want to thank you for caring for the safety of survivors at such a critical time. I thought I'd start, and I'm going to be brief, but I just want to share with you a little bit about the kind of calls that we're receiving at our hotline. Like the nurse who works a 12-hour shift treating COVID patients only to come home to an abusive and violent partner, or the expectant mother who was kicked out of her house with nowhere to go and was too afraid to go to a shelter, or the wife now facing stay-at-home orders with a controlling and increasingly violent husband who's too scared to leave with her young children because of the pandemic and doesn't know what to do. These are the kinds of cries we get for help regularly, but they're escalating under this virus quarantine, and they're compounded by the complications of people not knowing how to manage this situation. Since mid-March, with the onset of this pandemic, we've seen a 40% spike in our calls, and what's even more concerning is those calls are calls for shelter. A much higher percentage of those calls are people asking for shelter. They want a way out. History tells us, as you've heard already, that violence spikes during times of crisis. After Hurricane Harvey, this city saw a 45% spike in domestic violence murders for women. We cannot let this happen again. We know too much. We cannot let innocent women die, not on this city's watch. And I'm so thankful to be here with these partners. We're doing something different this time because we know better. And I am really proud to be part of this. At the end of my remarks here, I just want to speak specifically to people who might be living in an abusive situation. We know you may be living in a silent hell, and we want you to know we are here for you. Our hotlines are open, and they have never gone silent. Our shelter is open, and our dedicated team of counselors and advocates are here for you. They're working remotely, and they're working on site at the shelter. This No COVID Abuse website that was built generously by CGS Digital will help you find resources that you need, including our hotlines, all of our agency partners, and information that you might need if you're being abused or if you know someone being abused. If you are in an abusive situation, I want you to plan for your safety. Planning for your safety can save your life and your children's life. Please visit this website or give our hotline a call. It can change the outcome of your situation. I want you to know that the shelters in this region are taking all of the precautions. They're practicing social distancing. These are safe places for you to go. Living with an abuser may not be. Finally, it is time that we focus on flattening the domestic violence curve. We can do this together. It's going to take all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Emily, and that is a curve that we can flatten, and we don't need a test for that. Now, Chief Acevedo.
Good morning. Good morning, Mayor, council members. Thank you so much for doing this. This really warms my heart to come to this press conference and see the vast majority of our council members here. And Councilmember Kamen, thank you for taking the lead and really helping to get this going. But at the end of the day, we know that we have a challenge, not just here in Houston, but across the country and across the world when it comes to domestic violence. And I'm proud to stand with everyone up here, HEB, Uber, all the sponsors, and especially our partners, the Houston Area Women's Center and the County Center. because you give people hope and you give people options, options that without you all, they wouldn't have. But I'm also heartened by the fact, Mayor, that we've seen a spike here. But it's not just here, it's across the country. Major City Chiefs' most recent polling of our sister agencies, the 69 largest agencies in the country, showed that in the eastern region of this nation, we've seen a 73% increase in this activity. In the central region, another 73%, and the western region, 60%. So we're doing better than most, but better is not good enough. And I believe that by leveraging all these partners, leveraging the media campaign that we're going to have through the information we're going to provide on all these social media platforms, that we're going to be able to touch hearts and hopefully save lives. And so with that, I just want to make sure the community knows that we are prepared. I've got Commander Bryant here from our Special Victims Division that does a phenomenal job working with victims to turn them into survivors. And please know that if you call for help, we are ready. We are open, our partners are open, and I'll do Spanish afterwards in the sidebar. Thank you.
Dr. First.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, from a public health standpoint, domestic abuse is it's a tragic and, quite honestly, it's a shameful public health problem. It's a problem with law enforcement. It's a problem in many areas, but also in public health. And as human beings, we should be embarrassed and ashamed that this is something that we have to talk about. But we do. And you've heard today that there is support for folks, and there are ways that people can reach out. But we also know that a lot of folks aren't going to do that. For a variety of very complicated and sometimes very personal reasons, they won't do that. And so if you're in that phase where you don't know what to do and you're not sure if you want to do, you're afraid it's going to make it worse, you need to take care of yourself until you get the courage to reach out for the help that you need. But during that time, you need to watch yourself and see if you're developing the symptoms that you're under more strain than you think you are. And with the pandemic going on now, you're under even more strain, so you're more likely to see the signs and symptoms that you're having trouble. So pay attention to those. And these are going to include things like changes in your diet. You may not be eating well to begin with, but you'll probably be eating worse. Eating more junk food, more fast food, not preparing meals for yourself and your kids because of the stress makes that just too much to do. That is a sign. You need to pay attention to that. That is, you're telling yourself something. Sleep disorders is another very common, and quite honestly, the sleep disorders where you get less sleep or more interrupted sleep, then you're able to deal with the stress less well, and that will only compound things. So it's important that you pay attention to the signs that your body is giving you, such that you recognize that maybe you need the help that we're talking about today that you have been reluctant to reach out for. There is help. It has been here. It will be here. These people are pros at what they're doing. They are going to be able to answer a lot of the questions that you are asking. They know a lot of questions that you don't even know to ask. So reach out. Now is the time. It's always the time. But with the pandemic adding yet another stressor, pay a little bit more attention to maybe you're somebody who doesn't think you have an issue, but you really do. And there are lots of people here who are very willing to help.
Thank you. And before I call up Sonia, let me call up Dr. Janice Bill, who is here representing Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, but she's also here in her own right, being very experienced in her own profession. Dr. Janice Bill.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, everyone, for allowing me and the Congresswoman to represent her today. From a mental health perspective, we know that victims of abuse are caught in a cycle, and the cycle continues to circle without being able to determine how to get out. So now we're offering, and I'm speaking to the general public, we're offering ways and a lot of information for you to make that first step. It's very hard because emotionally you're caught up in, or the person is caught up in trying to understand why this is happening to them, seeking love, and all the things that are going on within their own psychic to try to understand why they're in the situation. But not only are they usually in a situation, they usually have children and adolescents that are a part of that. So I would like to state that it's very important that now is the time not to be a part of that cycle, because the cycle of abuse can continue and go on. We can break the cycle. We can help you with a safety plan. Counseling, all the resources that are offered here today are there for you, just picking up the call and making that first step. Emotionally, we can be locked down mentally because someone has had control or power over you. Don't give them that power. Take back that power. You can make the decision to state that no longer do you want to be a victim or allowing that person to bully you. So with all the resources, again, I say, please reach out, because psychologically he gave some of the symptoms that are a result of depression, anxiety, stress, and all the things that are coming along with the COVID-19 pandemic, excuse me. So all those things we know that people are experiencing, but that does not mean that a person has to stay where they are. Please reach out and please make that first step, and I guarantee you will help take you to the next level in order to have safety for you. So again, do that for yourself and do that for your children. Thank you, Mayor.
Now, Sonia Corrales, the Chief Program Officer for the Houston Area Women's Center.
I'm actually going to do it in Spanish. Buenos días. Queremos agradecer al alcalde Turner, concejal Kamen, a Mino Patel Davis, al jefe de policía Acevedo, al doctor Peirce y a nuestros aliados en contra de la violencia doméstica. Gracias por cuidar la seguridad de los sobrevivientes en estos tiempos difíciles. Como dijo el alcalde, el impacto de COVID-19 se ha sentido entre las personas más vulnerables en la ciudad de Houston. Incluimos a las víctimas de tráfico humano y a las víctimas de violencia doméstica. La historia nos dice que la violencia aumenta durante épocas de crisis. Después del huracán Harvey, esta ciudad vio un incremento del 45% en los asesinatos como de causa de violencia doméstica contra las mujeres. La línea del Centro de Mujeres del área de Houston jamás estarán mudas durante esta pandemia. Es importante que sepan que los refugios como el del nuestro están abiertos y tomando las precauciones necesarias acerca del COVID-19. Y en ellos practicamos la distancia social y son seguros. Nuestro equipo de consejeros y asesores continúan trabajando a distancia para ofrecer esta esperanza y apoyo. Queremos que las personas impactadas por el abuso sepan que ahora nos hemos reunido para lanzar esta campaña de concientización, nocovidabuse.org. El sitio de la red podrá encontrar una enorme cantidad de recursos que incluyen nuestras líneas de ayuda, enlaces de agencias que nos apoyan, información sobre cómo ustedes pueden ayudar a alguien que está en una situación de abuso. La campaña contará con consejos de seguridad, números de recursos para llamar y algunos videos de las jugadoras de Houston Dash. La información estará disponible en inglés y en español y el sitio de redes sociales del alcalde. La ciudad, junto a otros involucrados, apunta a la necesidad de refugio limitado en hoteles para las víctimas de las cuales el refugio ya no es una opción. Uber ofrecerá viajes gratuitos para las personas más vulnerables. Es importante que nosotros nos cuidemos. Ustedes busquen a alguien en quien confiar y pueden hablar con ellos. Si ustedes saben o conocen a una persona que está en una relación abusiva, por favor, traten de apoyarlos. No es la culpa de ellos. No hay que no se sientan que ellos son culpables porque la ayuda está disponible. Para terminar, utilice y comparta nocovidabuse.org. Es tiempo de aplanar la curva de la violencia doméstica. Vamos a necesitar la ayuda de todos. Gracias.
And again, I do want to acknowledge Mino Patel Davis. What did Mino? Thank you so very, very much for the leadership you have provided, especially on human trafficking on this issue as well. Now, we will pause and take any questions that you all may have on this topic.
The pool reporter, is it on? So how do the numbers compare from pre-isolation to now? This is from KPRC.
Emily?
I think for the Human Area Women's Center, they cited about 45% increase in their calls for assistance. And from the police department, we've seen, as of today, about a 9% increase in assaults, many of them that are related to domestic violence, and we're at about 1.7% this morning in the last few weeks. Increase.
Are you concerned about underreporting of numbers since children are out of school and teachers aren't able to serve as eyes and ears?
Yes, it's a good question. I suspect that we are having underreporting. In fact, we were not sure if we would even see a spike in calls. We knew there would be a spike in violence. We weren't sure if we would see a spike in calls. So I'm encouraged in a way that we are seeing this spike in calls because it means people are finding a way to access our services. This no COVID abuse, in the next coming week or so, we'll have a chat feature in case people cannot get a way to access their phones. Many cities are seeing a decrease in calls, and we suspect it's because people can't access their phones. But we're hoping to bring live a chat feature soon in case people can't get on the phone, and hopefully efforts like this will let people know that there are services and that they can get support.
And during the mayor's week or daily press conferences, we have been talking about this, speaking about this issue almost on a daily basis, including children. We've been encouraging children and neighbors to keep an eye out for children, to keep an eye out for changes in behavior, any signs of bruising or injuries, unexplained injuries. And so we've actually been messaging this in English and Spanish for several weeks now. In addition, we've been telling kids when they get online, a lot of them are going online now, that's an opportunity to reach out to their teachers and encourage them to do that. And we've been doing that in English and Spanish, and most importantly, we continue to remind nuestra comunidad latina que acuérdese que si eres víctima de la violencia doméstica, eres víctima de cualquier clase de crimen, no tenga temor. Nosotros estamos aquí para protegerlos. Sabemos que han subido un poco los casos, como 9% en esta área, en Houston, pero tenemos bastante colegas que lo pueden ayudar, la pueden sacar de su casa si está en peligro. Por favor, no se deje adelante. No nos importa si está aquí legal o ilegal, documentado, indocumentado, no importa. Estamos a sus órdenes.
Thank you. How do you keep shelter doors open while avoiding potential outbreaks at the facility? What is the new protocol?
So our staff have protective gear. We check temperatures 3 times a day. We have all the cleaning materials. Thankfully, people are recognizing domestic violence agencies and staff as first responders. We're doing the same kind of life-saving work, maybe not the same kind, but we're doing life-saving work like police and firefighters and nurses. We are saving lives on the front line, and we have been able to get the masks and get the cleaning equipment, and we are practicing social distancing. We have reduced the census, the population at the shelter, to make sure we can maintain that social distancing. We are in contact with public health officials at the city and the county to make sure we're doing that properly. And we are monitoring our population regularly, like you would in all the evidence best practices informed by the CDC. So they are a safe place to go, especially if you're not in a safe situation at home.
This one, oh,
Sorry, and the city's been made aware and working with Mino Patel Davis and the mayor on this and the coordinating council. There is going to be, we are expecting a shortage in terms of shelter space, and we are already working with our partners to ensure that either hotel vouchers or other assistance can be provided to meet those needs.
thank you. This one's for Chief Acevedo. This is from Houston Public Media. So the Houston Police Union called the planned mask order draconian. Can you respond to this and speak to what kind of enforcement, if any, will be handled by HPD?
I think we're going to do that separate because this is more about domestic violence.
Okay.
So I'll be around.
All right, and I also have one for Mayor on the city council, on city council meeting. Okay. All righty, I'll just, in Spanish, if we can have one. Yes, please. ¿Cuáles han sido algunos de los escenarios en cuanto a lo que está ocurriendo con la violencia doméstica y cómo ha incrementado los casos en nuestra región?
Sabemos que los abusadores usan útiles donde aíslan a las víctimas. Entonces, el COVID-19 es una oportunidad para que lo hagan. Entonces, sabemos que nuestras llamadas, por ejemplo, en la línea de crisis están aumentando cada día. Y cada día estamos recibiendo más de 80 llamadas. Y la mayoría de ellos, o más de la mitad, son personas que están buscando refugio. Entonces, esta es una oportunidad para hablar con el público y decirles que hay ayuda, que no están solas y que pueden salir de su casa si la necesitan o si simplemente necesitan ayuda de una consejera y plan de seguridad.
¿Cuáles son algunos de esos ejemplos que están enfrentando durante esta crisis?
Por ejemplo, una persona que quizás está embarazada, por ejemplo, una persona que nos llamó, está embarazada, el marido la echó de su casa, entonces no sabe a dónde ir. También es el hecho de que tiene miedo de salirse y irse a un albergue, por ejemplo, ¿verdad? Entonces también queremos que el público se dé cuenta que estamos en los albergues, estamos seguros, estamos tomando las precauciones de distancias sociales y estamos limpiando. También hemos reducido la capacidad de nuestras camas para poder implementar la distancia social.
And Chief Acevedo, just in Spanish, if you will just address, ¿qué es lo que están haciendo con estos agresores?
Bueno, acuérdese, lo más importante que creo que no quiero que se pase, que este año los asesinatos, las mujeres de violencia doméstica ha bajado en esta ciudad. Y es porque todos nuestros colegas, todos los que ven aquí, estamos trabajando para empezar, si nos llamas y tenemos cualquier evidencia, te vamos a creer y vamos a tomar cargas contra el sospechoso. Hace 2 años cambiamos nuestra respuesta, como respondemos como departamento policiaco, y puse una orden que si un oficial va a una escena de violencia doméstica y el fiscal no quiere dar cargas, un supervisor tiene que ir a la escena, tiene que ver la evidencia, tiene que entrevistar y tiene que llamar al fiscal. Y con lo que ocurrió, los arrestos han subido mucho en estos años y para mí estamos salvando vidas. Así que vamos a llevar la cuenta al abusador, no lo vamos a permitir, y cualquier hombre que le pone manos a una mujer, a un niño, a una niña, es un cobarde. Y aquí estamos para llevar a los cobardes a cuenta.
Thank you. Alrighty, so I have more other questions, but I'll be...
Yeah, I would like for the mayor to speak. I know you have your big thing at 3 o'clock, but since we've all been reporting it about the mask and face covering order being handed down that will affect all of us who live in Houston, Harris
Okay,
County.
let me do this. Any other questions as relates to this initiative? Because I do want to thank all of our partners for stepping up. Uber again for their generous $50,000 grant. Jerry Brooks, please thank Uber. The Houston Area Women's Center, what can I say? They have just been on the front line, and you are first responders, okay? So you all have been on the front line, and again, please, the Harris County Domestic Council, want to acknowledge them, HEB, Houston Dash, all of the partners that are working in this effort. I cannot say just how proud I am of each and every one of these city council members, that became for giving leadership to this initiative, but all the council members who are here. I don't know if I acknowledged Councilmember David Robinson earlier, but all the council members want to thank you. Meena Patel Davis again. Thank you, Dr. Bill. But I want to thank all of these partners. But most importantly, this press conference was speaking to people who are at home, women, children, in some cases men, who are at home, who find themselves in a very tough and difficult situation. And this is one way of us letting you know you are not alone. And so we want to do everything we can to assist. We don't want to just talk about the coronavirus and how to flatten the curve with the virus, without also not just flattening, but eliminating domestic abuse and violence in our city. But the simple message is that this virus has not and does not give anyone permission to engage in domestic violence. You do not have that right, and domestic violence does not provide you that right as well. So thank you all so very, very much. Okay. Now, Chief Acevedo, thank you. Okay, now if we're gonna...
Don't leave, though, Chief. We still have a question for you,
Yes.
too. Thank you.
27 new cases today, no new deaths. Yeah, so it was 20 yesterday, 27 new cases, no deaths.
Oh, excellent.